Hello, hope you're well. Let's talk about child maintenance. Now, today's video covers lots of different subjects, okay? We're going to talk about DEOs, we're going to talk about spread and arrears, we're going to talk about child benefit. This video is for both paying and receiving parents. I phoned Child Maintenance Service today. First got through within 55 minutes, so that's an improvement. This was the fourth time I've called them in 4 weeks. The other 3 calls lasted an hour and I didn't get to speak to anyone. Well, today I did, so I was able to ask a few questions. So initially I spoke to the person who triaged the call. I asked me what the problem was and decided whether to put me through to a caseworker or not. I guess he was probably in Northern Ireland by his accent, so he then put me through to someone. Now I rang initially because my payments have changed quite a bit recently. There's been 2 changes and suddenly I've gone from no arrears to about £1,400 in arrears, and so obviously the CMS are trying to take those payments as quickly as possible. It's quite a lot of money and it's not budgeted for, and of course that will cause me problems, so it's better to deal with it by speaking to them first. Now, for those who don't know, CMS have a policy called the CMS debt steer. What that means is if you are in arrears, you can ask them to change the arrears so that you pay them off over 2 years. Normally what happens is when there's a change and it develops an arrears scenario, you pay that off between the period of the change and the annual review date, which if it's a week could be quite a big shock to you. And that's where you see online about people post that I've suddenly had a demand for £800, which is payable today. Whereas my normal payments are 50. In fact, that happened to me once. I got a demand for £850, I think it was, which arrived with me on the Friday, but I was due to pay with a further £850 the following week. And that was because there'd been a change in my account and they wanted to get it in 2 payments over the course of 1 week. So you can ask to spread arrears over 2 years. That's what I did today. I wrote the lady, said I can't afford it. I could look at my payment. She came up with a figure. We talked about it. Basically, I said, well, that's still a little bit too high. She then adjusted it down so that my arrears were sorted. So I will now pay those arrears off over a period of time, and that's it. I don't have to worry about them. So I then asked a few other questions. Why not? I've got a caseworker on the telephone. So I asked about the missed payment procedure. So for those who don't know, it used to be that there were a few sort of loopholes. If you only paid 90% of the money, if you were no more than 5 days late, if it was kind of 1 missed payment, maybe 2 payments, or even 3 missed payments, nothing would happen. It's all changed. So now, if you miss a payment, you can be put on to collect and pay after you miss 1 payment. That's 1 payment. And that can be put in place very, very quickly. The system nowadays is the receiving parent goes online and reports it. And if they report it online, that will generate a text message, it will generate a system message, and the paying parent has 14 days to go back to CMS and confirm that they've made the payment and upload evidence of the payment. If they don't do that, the system now automatically generates a DEO case and it goes to collect and pay. And obviously the employer sent a letter automatically and it's done. So what we're looking at here now is a scenario where someone misses a payment on a Monday, it's reported 3 working days later on the Thursday, and within 2 weeks, if that's not responded to, a letter is automatically sent to your employer requesting a DEO, okay, and you are put on collect and pay. So there's no messing around anymore. There's no sort of dispensation. They got rid of the 90% rule, and they got rid of, you can miss 3 payments. You can now go onto a DEO after missing 1 payment. And by missing 1 payment, I mean you have to pay all of it. If you pay 90% of it, that's a missed payment. Pay 95%, that's a missed payment. You have to pay all of it. That's the situation. So then ask what happens if someone gets put on a DEO and at the 6-month point they request to come off of it, and it takes a further 3 months. And I was hoping at that point the lady I was speaking to would say, well, we would look at that and possibly put them on a direct debit payment for 3 months, not 6. Unfortunately, she didn't confirm that, so it's still the case. You have to make a minimum of 6 payments via the DEO, then you request it, and then once they change it to direct debit, you have to make a further 6 payments. So potentially you could be on collect and pay for more than 12 months, probably 13, 14 or maybe 15 months. So I think it's time to be proactive. There is clearly an issue. I rang CMS today after they changed my calculations for a request that was made in August. It's now June. So it's not, it's July. Okay, so those payments have gone through, and though they went through a couple of weeks ago, so it probably took about 10 months for them to go through. So what does this mean? I guess what it means is when you get to the 6-month point, don't wait. So I would actually now start saying is once you've been on a DEO for 4 months, request that you get switched to direct debit. The reason for that is I'm thinking if it takes them 2 to 3, maybe 4 months to respond to it, you're already 2 months into the cycle. So request to come off of DEO early. So once you've been made 4 payments, request it. If they reject it, just mandatory reconsider it. Okay, and keep on going, asking for mandatory reconsiderations till they remove it and put you on direct debit. I think that's the way to go forward. Because it just seems to me that so many people are paying DEOs or paying the 20% when they shouldn't be. That's what happens if you do it online. Obviously, if there's a missed payment and the paying parent rings up the CMS, they have to go through the system. It may not be quite so quick. It might take them a couple of days to get through for a start. But certainly if you do it online, it's automatic. Just a word of warning. When you report a missed or payment or an underpayment, you are requesting collect and pay. So don't do that if you're expecting the payment to come through in a day or so's time. CMS aren't interested if you've got a missed payment. They don't do anything with that. They just put you on collect and pay. So what I'm saying is if you've got a payment due on the Monday and the person paying it says, sorry, bank problem, I'll pay it to you on Tuesday, don't go to collect and pay. Don't request it, don't report a missed payment, because obviously that could create problems. But there is a possible fix to that, and let me talk about that now. Receiving parent asked to come off, then potentially can come off quicker. But more importantly, if the receiving parent goes online onto the portal and requests to go back to direct pay, it's in the automated system. It will be dealt with quicker. The system will deal with it, which is far better than sending a message to CMS saying, oh, can you take me off? All right. So use the portal. So if your partner says, okay, I agreed to take you off a DEO, get them to do it online. And of course, if you are a receiving parent, you've probably seen my other videos that warn you about it can take several months for a DEO to come into place. That's down to delays with the payroll system. So if you want to stop those delays, if you've reported something, and then actually you've got the payment, you have an option to go back to the CMS and say, cancel the DEO, cancel collect and pay, and that should make your life a bit easier. Now we talked about child benefit check, and one of the things I discussed about is the fact that obviously if a child's left education, and they confirmed to me, yes, it's all automated. So if your child's left education, you go online, you request you report the child is no longer in education, it will automatically reject it. So this means we can answer the question straight away. How do I know my child's in education? Well, you don't definitely know, but if you want to do some sort of check, you can obviously go online as a paying parent and report your child's left education. We do a child benefit check, and if that's negative, that's it. It will close the case. And if the child is receiving child benefit, then it won't close the case. Now, I also said, oh, what's your busy thing at the moment? She said, well, it's July, so it's mostly parents ringing up saying my child's left education. Let's just recap on those rules. If a child left education this summer, i.e. they've left since the 31st of May, i.e. they went to college, they went to school, they were doing the exams up until May into June, okay, their child benefit will finish on the 31st of August and CMS will effectively finish the next day. So you don't need to ring up CMS now and go, my child left education 2 weeks ago, do I stop? No, they do it in batches from the 1st of September. So if you've not heard anything within 3 weeks and you know your child's left education, then phone the CMS. I also talked about text messages on Sunday. This is a thing I find annoying. I don't think a parent should get sent a text message on a Sunday chasing for money, because if CMS were a proper debt collection company, they wouldn't be allowed to do that. And I think the CMS should follow the same guidelines. That hasn't changed. People are still getting messages on a Sunday. In fact, I saw a comment on my YouTube channel a couple of days ago from someone telling me that they're still getting text messages on a Sunday. I don't think that's on. That needs to change. Now, I also asked about collect and pay refunds. Some of you will be aware that several months ago, maybe 6 months ago, people started getting contacted by the CMS saying we owe you money. They didn't know what it was. There was a bit of confusion as to why they were owed money, but essentially what it is, it's typically where a case has come from collect and pay and moved to direct pay, and there's been a little balance that's been paid to the CMS and they haven't dealt with it properly. So what they were doing is they were refunding the money. So if you had a letter, you're about to receive a letter, you've received a letter that says we owe you some money and you're a direct pay case, but you were collect and pay, that's probably the issue. Okay. I also talked about bank details and non-compliance, and the caseworker basically confirmed, yes, if the receiving parent isn't compliant, if they don't supply their bank details, then essentially the case is frustrated, and therefore, due to their non-compliance, the CMS case will be closed. Okay, I hope that's been of use to you. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and you might like to check out the video coming on screen now, because if you've liked this one, I'm sure you're going to like that one. Have a great day. Cheers. Bye-bye.